When we think of the engines of the ancient world, we usually picture the marble columns of Rome or the philosophers of Greece. But look at this graph comparing global economic output between the 4th and 12th centuries. While Europe was entering the early Middle Ages, ancient India commanded up to 30% of the entire world's GDP. To move that much wealth, you need serious logistical muscle. Down in the south, the Chola dynasty built massive wooden dreadnoughts with multiple decks to secure their maritime trade routes. They turned the Bay of Bengal into a private lake. The Chola fleet pushed deep into Southeast Asia to protect their access to China, exporting their culture in the process. This geographic reach is why we find sprawling Indian-inspired temple complexes like Angkor Wat, thousands of miles away in modern-day Cambodia. Funding this massive naval expansion were the Shranis. These were a hybrid between a medieval trade union and a modern international bank. These merchant guilds were so trusted that even kings deposited their wealth with them. They set quality standards across industries and absorbed heavy trade deficits from the Roman Empire, converting that incoming wealth into high-quality stamped gold coins, known as the denara. By locking down global trade routes and pooling an immense reserve of gold, the society could finally look inward. They had the capital to fund domestic engineering projects on a scale the world had rarely seen. Moving inland to the heart of the Gupta Empire, city planners faced two specific environmental realities: lethal summer temperatures and the erratic cycle of the annual monsoons. Their solution was a marvel of civil engineering called the Bawari, or stepwell. Instead of building up, they constructed massive, symmetrical, multi-story towers descending directly into the earth. These structures were designed with wide catchment areas to harvest seasonal rainwater. By storing that water deep underground, surrounded by thick stone walls, they created artificial microclimates that stayed remarkably cool during the scorching summers. Naturally, they evolved into the civic hubs of the ancient city. Citizens would gather on these lower steps to escape the heat, socialize, and conduct daily business. This mastery of water storage and temperature control allowed these ancient cities to support dense, specialized populations all year round, regardless of the weather above ground. Their engineering extended well past stonework. Near the ruins of modern-day New Delhi stands a 7-meter-tall iron pillar forged during the Gupta period. It has been standing outside, fully exposed to the rain and the summer sun, for over 1,600 years, and it hasn't rusted. Gupta blacksmiths intentionally smelted the iron with a high phosphorus content. As it weathered, that phosphorus reacted to create a passive protective layer, a microscopically thin shield that stops oxidation in its tracks. Modern metallurgists only fully understood this process recently. The monumental architecture of the era was backed by a rigorous, practical understanding of chemical engineering. That level of practical science was incubated inside residential mega-universities like Nalanda, which housed thousands of scholars and operated as the research hubs for the known world. It was in this academic environment that a mathematician named Aryabhata made a specific conceptual leap. Instead of treating zero just as an empty placeholder, he began calculating with it as an actual independent number. Treating zero as a number established the logic for the base 10 decimal system we use today. It allowed for complex equations, the calculation of the solar year, and the early foundations of modern trigonometry. While mathematicians were calculating the stars, physicians were mapping the human body. Enter Sushruta, one of the earliest pioneers of complex surgery. Long before the germ theory of disease was established in the West, Sushruta was meticulously sterilizing his surgical instruments with boiling water and medicinal fumes. He performed advanced cataract surgeries and even pioneered early rhinoplasty, successfully reconstructing noses using living flaps of skin taken from the patient's forehead. The coexistence of theoretical math and precision surgery reflects a society with the wealth to support an intellectual class dedicated entirely to technical research. The ultimate beneficiary of all this wealth and science was the Nagaraka, the refined urban citizen of the classical age. Their daily life was a delicate balance of ethical duty and luxury. A proper gentleman was expected to play stringed instruments like navina, wear delicate cotton muslin so sheer it was called woven air, and keep exotic pet birds trained to speak human phrases. Securing an empire of this scale was expensive.
In the mid-5th century, the White Huns pushed relentlessly across the northern borders. While initially repelled, the constant military campaigns drained the royal treasury. Without the capital reserves to maintain order, the central authority collapsed. Over the next few centuries, regional warfare and subsequent Turkic invasions permanently fractured the subcontinent into a patchwork of competing kingdoms. The gold eventually ran out, and the massive wooden ships rotted away. But the mathematics powering modern software and the foundations of surgery survived. These innovations became the functional tools that global trade and medicine are built upon today.